Hello, BookTube. The inconsistent reader here with a special ocean episode. Huh? This is what we were promised, but it's been sunny the last 3 days. But now it's nice, so I thought I would do one of my episodes. Okay, so we are on part 12, Carpitz, and that's car and then pits, like a hole in the ground with a Z at the end. I don't know. Anyway, so it's baby Nicole's turn again to tell us about what's going on. And now remember, she just found out she's baby Nicole. That's why I'm still calling her baby Nicole, but that ends now. Thank God. Anyway, so she found out she's baby Nicole, and it's like sent her into this fucking sinkhole, you know, where her whole world is just now in this fucking pit. She's freaking out. So after stewing on this for a while, she asks if her father really was a commander, and they tell her luckily no, but her mother won't reveal the identity of her real dad because he could still be in Gilead, and she doesn't want to get him in trouble. Ada also tells her how badly Gilead wants her back because after all, and I quote, "To their way of thinking, I belong to them, and they had a right to track me, haul me, by whatever means, legal or illegal." So Nicole's been doing some thinking, and she asks if that march she went to is what got Melanie and Neil killed. But Elijah assures her no, they were caught by different means, so she doesn't need to feel guilty about that. It was probably a spy of Gilead. But what do you guys think? Do you think Ada's just trying to protect her by saying, well, actually it was Elijah. Do you think they're just trying to protect her by saying, no, it wasn't her going to that march? Or do you really think it was a spy thing? I kind of think maybe it was like both things, because the march, remember there was a riot during the march, so that was definitely on TV, so that probably helped, I think. But I mean, at the same time, she's a kid and she didn't know that she was baby Nicole and that she was supposed to not be seen. She just wanted to go to this protest because it was something she believed in. Even if Ada's lying, she's doing it to protect Nicole. And that's why I thought Ada was June. I was 100% for sure thought Ada was June, but I'm wrong. Elijah leaves and he comes back a bit later with George. Now, do you remember George? The one Nicole called a creep, used to come into the clothes hound all the time. Well, apparently he saw some guys in suits take Neil and Melanie out to their car, and they seemed like drunk, like they were helping them walk to their car. And then after they were put in the car, they kind of just slumped over, and then a minute later, you know, they exploded. So Ada's freaking out because she's like, did they blab about something before being put in that car? Like, what did they say? And Elijah's like, they would never talk. They never would have talked. And Ada's like, I don't know, dude. Eyes are harsh. Like, they could have made them talk. Meanwhile, George is like, we need to get the fuck out of here. Like, we can't stay here. We gotta go. So George turns to Nicole and he's like, I'm sorry for your loss. And Nicole's like, I gotta go. She's feeling teary-eyed and she doesn't want to cry in front of everyone. You know, like, anyone else like that? Is everyone else like that? I mean, I know I prefer to cry alone, but I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. That's what you did. Hide your emotions, because they're stupid. So Ada gave her 10 minutes and then knocked on her door, telling her it's time to go. And Nicole's like, well, where are we going? And Ada replies, and I quote, curiosity got the cat in trouble. Okay, so I always thought it was curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. And I love that because it meant if you got to the bottom of the thing, it would bring you back. It would save you. It would make it worth it. But apparently, the second half of that was added many years later. And the original saying was basically, if you mind your own business, you won't get in trouble. And I was like, okay, well, I can get behind that too. But this reminds me of some other people's MO, getting into other people's business, which only affects them in a way where they're asked to treat everyone as a human being, because we fucking are. No matter our sexual orientation, race, gender, creed, not one of us is perfect. Not any single one of us. I mean, why do you think that you are? Why is it your business to tell other people how to live? Because you have to educate yourself and your children that there are other people in the world with different viewpoints than you, that grew up differently than you. Like, heaven forbid you change and learn and grow about anything. I know it's like hard work for people to fucking change how they fucking think. But it's possible. And it's probably better in the long run. How fucking boring would the world be if we were all the same? Snooze. So anyway, my point is, I need to stop correcting people and getting mad about that curiosity in the cat thing, because the original phrase ends with its death. So anyway, back to the book. Now, they don't just go outside after they left the apartment. They went down to a whole different apartment that was like oddly similar, but there was like nothing in the medicine cabinet. And I quote, "I know because I looked. Melanie used to say that 90% of people looked in other people's bathroom cabinets, so you should never keep your secrets there." Now, does anyone actually keep secrets in their medicine cabinet? I mean, I have like shaving stuff, tooth stuff, first aid, and some over-the-counter drugs, but I certainly don't keep any secrets in my medicine cabinet. So I don't even know where the fuck that came from. But yeah, people are nosy and they go through your shit. Anyway, they have to wait there for a bit. So when Nicole wakes up the next day, Garth is there. And he is their transpo man. He's the guy that's going to take them to the next place. So he's a young, tall guy who is much closer to Nicole's age. And anyway, so obviously she's going to get a crush on him. While in back of Garth's delivery van, Nicole asked Ada like how she was smuggled out of Gilead. And it turns out Ada was actually one of the people on the Canadian side who helped get her to safety. She asked Ada then about her mother, and Ada's like, it's really not safe for you or her to know, for you to know anything. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and then Nicole says, and I quote, "She just walked off and left me?" To which Ada replies, "You're lucky you're alive. She's lucky too. They tried to kill her twice that we know of." And Ada also tells her that her mother stayed away to protect her, but that she has always kept tabs on her. And I quote, "I was pleased by this, though I didn't want to give up my anger." So she's happy that her mom like gives a shit and has cared to know what's going on in her life, but she's fucking pissed because she hasn't fucking been there. She didn't know anything, and she feels like she's now fucking like grown up blind. She doesn't know fucking nothing. Nicole asks Ada, wait, what the fuck? I can't even read my own shit. Ada tells Nicole that Neil and Melanie used to send pictures to June. And to this news, Nicole is super confused because like they never took pictures. There were like no pictures of her anywhere. But apparently it's because, you know, they took them while she was sleeping. And Nicole says, and I quote, "That was creepy, and I said so." Ada told her she's the one who got the pictures to her mother, like indirectly. But also, she says that, and I quote, "Mothers always like pictures of their kids. She'd look at them and then burn them. So no matter what, Gilead wouldn't ever see them." Like, think about how sad that is. She has to burn all her pictures so that Gilead does not know what she looks like. So they don't see how she, like, what she looks like as she's growing up, so that they can find her. So she has to not only not be with her child, but she has to burn anything related to her just to keep her safe. And, like, if June has a shitty memory, that's shitty for her, because she's not going to remember any of this shit. Okay, so once again, they end up at the title of this section, Carpitz, and I don't know why it's called Pits, like a hole in the ground, because it's a carpet place. So I like the names, I don't, whatever. Nicole's watching the news. She sees that no one has taken responsibility for blowing up the clothes hound, and also that Aunt Adriana did not commit suicide, and now foul play has been suspected. So, I mean, we already know the story, right? We already talked about that in the past, or is that the future? I think it's the past. I think we already know. But she does notice that there is nothing about Daisy being missing. Remember, that was her original name growing up. So she asks Ada about it, and Ada tells her, and I quote, "Elijah fixed it," Ada said. "He knows people at the school. That's how we got you into it. Kept you out of the spotlight. It was safer." So, like, she didn't know that all these plays were in motion trying to keep her safe her entire life, and now all this shit's kind of just being thrust upon her, and I mean, it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get more frustrating for her, but hopefully she will rise to the occasion. We'll see, right? But I mean, this is about the fall of Gilead, so you have hope, right? Anyway, so Elijah calls a meeting the next morning, and I quote, "Things could be better. We've heard Gilead could target Carpitz next." So everyone's like, okay, well, what do we do? And what do we do with Nicole? And they go back and forth on this for a while. And Nicole's like, fuck it. If they're just going to kill me sooner or later, like, whatever. What are we doing? And they're like, oh, no, dude. They don't want to kill you. They want to show you off, parade you around. And she's like, how do you know? And Ada tells her that they have a source on the inside that's feeding them information, and it has never been wrong. Now, we all know who the source is, of course, Lydia, but, like, they don't know. But, yeah, it's never been wrong. So Nicole says, why would someone from Gilead be helping them anyway? And Elijah's like, I don't really know, because it's not about money. They don't know why. They just know that they're getting accurate information that's helping them with their cause. Whoa! Shake the whole thing. So the microdots are added to the Pearl Girls brochures, and that went undetected for quite some time. That's why Melanie would take some of the brochures and then give them back, because she was taking off the microdots and adding microdots with her information, and they would transfer those back and forth like that to Lydia. Until, of course, they got caught and the camera got taken. So they caught a lot of people once they found that camera, and all those people are gonna hang for that. Like, all the people that they caught for this. So, like, it's even more imperative that they protect her and get her to where the fuck she needs to go. Okay, so, where was I? The source, remember, the source has never been wrong. That's where I left off. And they tell her, well, she asks, why didn't they warn her or them about Neil? Why can't I say Neil and Melanie? She's like, well, why didn't they warn you guys about Melanie and Neil? And Elijah says, and I quote, they didn't appear to have total access to the inner workings of the eyes. So whoever they are, they aren't top of the food chain, but risking their life. And Nicole's like, why? And that's when it's like, when I said earlier it's not about money. They don't really know why, but they know it's not for money. And then the microdots thing I said. Okay, and then Nicole asks, here we go, and I quote, "What can we do? It sounds like there's nothing." And Elijah tells her, and I quote, "As it turns out, there may be a chance, a faint hope, you could say." And then Elijah tells her, and I quote, "The source had been promising to deliver a very big document cache to Mayday. This cache would blow Gilead sky high. But the closehound blew up, so they didn't get to get the cache that way. So luckily their source, though, had a plan B. And hell, we know she probably has a plan Z. Anyway, if a girl wanted to convert to Gilead by way of the Pearl Girls, they could infiltrate Gilead easily. And of course, the only girl for the job was, drumroll please, thank you, Nicole, duh. But because she's the only person deemed acceptable by the source, and I quote, "The source had made it clear, no baby Nicole, no document cache." So basically they're trading her for this document cache, whether they don't know what's going to happen to her. But, I mean, she's worth the sacrifice, right? Right? I mean, I believe they must know that shit could go bad for her. Now that I'm thinking about it out loud. And Nicole's just like, why me, man? Like, I just found out I'm this bitch and I don't even want to be her. And now you want me to go back in there with them. And Elijah tells her, and I quote, "The source was firm on that point. Said you're the best chance. If you get caught, they won't dare kill you. I mean, sure, they might not kill her. But that doesn't mean she ain't gonna have a fucking shitty life being stuck in there." So Nicole's reeling and freaking out. I mean, she doesn't want to do this. But they reassure her and they tell her they will train her, give her some self-defense, teach her the ways of the Pearl Girls, just so that she'll feel better. So basically she is, at this point in time, it seems the only hope in bringing down Gilead. But hey, no pressure. Well, maybe a little pressure. Pressure makes diamonds. So Nicole says she'll think about it, and then everybody just took that as a yes, and they start preparing everything they need to get this job done. And they reinforce that on her by telling her how brave she is, how many lives she's gonna save. So she's like, fuck, I guess I actually have to do this. Well played, guys. Well played. I need some water. Forgot my water. Okay, where was I? Did I go back in time for some reason? Okay, now while training with Garth, he finally opens up a little bit and he tells Nicole a little bit about himself. Now, he is from Texas originally, and his older brothers were in the war against Gilead, and they both died. And his cousin, who is a female, was abducted into Gilead. So he left he left Texas and went to Canada to join Mayday. And like I said, now, of course, Nicole's got a bit of a crush on Garth. Which, she's a 16-year-old girl, and then there's this cute, tall guy who's giving her attention. Of course, she's going to be crushing on him. And meanwhile, Ada is training her in the ways of the Pearl Girls and all the praying and stuff they have to do, which Ada is surprisingly good at. And Nicole asks her, why are you so good at this? And Ada's like, well, I grew up I grew up with that before it was Gilead. And she said she saw the signs of what was going down, and she's just like, nope. And she got out of there just in time. While Nicole is trying to do these prayers, she's giggling. And Ada says, you need to take this seriously. And another thing, drop the swearing. I don't swear hardly at all, I said. The next... Oh, man, I better wait. Unless you want to be a sponsor. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. You ever had these? They're pretty great. Alright, so the next phase of the plan was to turn her into bait and wait for the Pearl girls to approach her. She then worries that the people that are already on the street won't believe like she belongs among them. And Ada's like, look, all you have to do is say you're leaving a violent situation and everyone is going to understand that. But like, think about that. Violence happens at home so much that anyone would understand wanting to be homeless rather than wanting to be beaten. That is fucking depressing. Shake it off, princess. So then Nicole starts worrying about being safe. And Ada assures her Garth is going to be there with her and he will protect her. So you know she's loving. She doesn't hate hearing that Garth's going to be there with her because, I mean, she's already crushing on him anyway. They tell her to mind her P's and Q's and also don't say too much while she's in there because if she knows too much about Gilead already, they might suspect her of being a spy. And I quote, I thought about this. Was I clever enough? She tells Ada she's having serious doubts about her ability to get this job done. And Ada tells her, if in doubt, play dumb. Nicole asks them if they've ever done this before, and they are honest with her, and they tell her yes, but they've had mixed results. But none of them will have her level of protection going in. Because of the source. Because she's actually this precious fucking item. And they suspect that the source is an ant. They don't know who, but they suspect because of the level of intelligence and how bright it is that it's an ant. And we know that it's the best ant. So they told her she had to pick a new name, and she picked the name Jade because it was stronger than a flower, which was her name before. So Ada lays another big thing on her. She has to get a tattoo. And not just any tattoo, it's like a scarification tattoo. And I'll show you a picture of what the tattoo is on, what the tattoo looks like. And she said it hurt so freaking bad, but she was just trying to act tough because Garth was there and she wanted to impress him. And she stresses like all night. Like, is this just a plot to get me back? Like, has all this just been to get me back in there so they can parade me around? And she tells everyone this the next day, and they're all, yeah, it's a gamble. I mean, that's a risk. That could be what's going down, but also you could be helping to bring down this whole fucking place. The last line of the section, you know, not only made Nicole's day, but you know it probably motivated her a little bit, and she needed it right then. And I quote, I'm betting on you, Garth said. It'll be so amazing if you win. And that's the end of Carpitz. The next section is section 12. What's it called? Secators. I still don't know if I'm saying that right. And it's about Lydia, and it's about Becca, and it's about what happens with Becca. Yeah. So thank you for watching this episode of the Testaments. What did we just do? Carpitz, section frickin' 12. What do you think of my location for this special episode? Fantastic, right? It's finally cloudy enough to film and not have the sun in my frickin' face. So we're now officially halfway through this book. What do you think of this in-depth review? Is it something you guys are enjoying? Is it not? Let me know if this is worth my time. Shit's starting to happen though. Shit's getting real. I didn't do any let's discusses in this section. Did you notice that? And there's a few other sections where I don't do any let's discusses. Because now it's just like about the girls like getting together and making this shit happen. I know there's some guys helping too, don't get me wrong. But it's just like, it's like rolling now. It's fucking happening and I just get like lost in it and I don't fucking like have extra thoughts. I don't know. Anyway, it's about to get really real is all I'm saying. Okay, so thanks for watching this episode with me, the inconsistent reader, in this special ocean episode. And as always, make good choices. Bye.